Welcome back everyone to yet another one of my craptastic little videos that no one will ever watch or even pay attention to. So today we're going to be talking about new doc, ruin, gens, immersion, and possibly meta shifts. No, it's a lot to talk about in one video, but I'm a very straight to the point person, so it's not going to take me too long to get each of my points out. So let's go ahead and start with how to abuse new ruin with the doctor. So 90% of what you do doesn't change that much, so overall doctor isn't going to change that much from what you're doing now. So the first thing you're going to do is equip distressing, like every doctor does. And what changes is that you also equip thrilling chimmers. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to do all your normal doc stuff. Make sure that if you're going to use blast, you use it early, and make sure that when you down a survivor, it's off of cooldown. This is actually important, because once you down a survivor, you're going to actually use your blast again to make everyone in your terror radius scream. They're going to stop working on generators, and then all you do is pick up the survivor that you've downed, and thrilling trimmers is going to lock all of the gens that survivors are no longer working on for 16 seconds of new ruin regression. Now, 16 seconds with new ruin at double the speed, that's 32 seconds per generator. You can buy yourself up to almost a minute and 40 seconds of extra gen time from downing one survivor. And all of those generators can't be worked on, and you have 16 seconds of free reign where survivors cannot finish the gens that they were working on to find a new survivor. Now, on dock, what this is going to do is it's going to have survivors hunting down ruin with the fervor of a 4-stack devour hope. Now, survivor remains, I feel you, I can see your, but we'll get to you in just 1 second. Hold on. I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry. We got to give killers their day in the sun before we deflate them. Okay, so this is going to work on Doc, but what about the rest of the killers? Now, this next part I'm going to be talking about is going to be 100% pure speculation. Because, well, frankly, I don't use the 2 perks I'm talking about, and I'm too lazy to test it out myself. Sorry, it's just the truth. So, what are we going to do with the rest of killers? What I'm thinking that it might be possible to do is if you have a full stacked save the best for last at that 40% reduction rate for wiping off your blade, you can down a survivor, trigger infectious fright to make all the survivors scream and get off of generators, and you might have enough time to just pick up the survivor with thrilling tremors, once again locking all the gens down for 16 seconds and preventing people from working on it. It could work, or it could just be a waste of your time. But on your killers that actually do have pressure and that are going to be using something like infectious fright, and survivors are going to generally tend to kind of pre-run from the area to prevent themselves from being an easy down, you can just literally ignore them, pick up the survivor, and get all the generators locked, and then you can rinse and repeat this and have a ton of extra pressure. Now, I know that there are some really good killers out there that will know if Save the Best for Last, Infectious Fright, and Thrilling Tremors combo will or will not work. Let me know, put it in the comments of this video. Make your own video, do whatever you like. Just get it out there, let the community know whether or not my crazy ass plan works. So we've talked about the benefits of new ruin, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a step back and we're going to talk about the state of generators as a whole in Dead by Daylight. Killers, hang on for a second. This is going to trigger you, but we're going to get back to all the benefits that you're still getting from new ruin. We'll get back to you in a second.
What we gonna do right here is go back. Way back. Back into time.
It's 2017, 2018. Survivors are complaining about camping, tunneling, slugging, and, well, just anything that a survivor complains about is answered by one booming answer from the killer community. Do gens. Gen rush. Get good at gens. Learn to hit great skill checks. Do you guys remember these comments? Because I do. The state of generators in Dead by Daylight is literally survivors following the direct advice. Let me say that again. the direct advice from killers. Killers created the Gin Rush meta. Killers backed the Gin Rush meta. Killers sang praises on the high mountaintops for survivors to just do gins and get better at gins. Well, survivors listened to your advice. You meant it as a meme, but it was good advice. In fact, it was amazing advice. But it's still your direct advice. You are directly responsible for this. And to that, I only have to say one thing.
The fuck, B, this is your idea. If you don't like your ideas, stop having them.
Alright, we've talked about generators long enough. Let's move back on to Ruin because it still gets better. What else could make new Ruin better against survivors? Well, immersion. Immersed survivors make Ruin stronger. An immersed survivor will leave a generator early in order to hide, which leads to more generator regression before the killer even makes it to the generator. And yes, the survivor is still going to get the time of the killer, but with the new Ruin regression rate, it's actually punishing the immersed survivor more than it's punishing the killer. You know, the killer's going to get all of that regression, and yes, they're going to lose out on pallets, so they still lose something from the immersed survivor, but the immersed survivor is actually punishing the entirety of the rest of their team for being immersed. Time is now just as important to survivors as it is to killers. The dynamic in the game has shifted, the tides have turned. Okay, survivors, I told you all at the beginning of the video that I wouldn't leave you high and dry, and I won't. We needed to give killers their time in the spotlight before I literally just undid everything I've talked about in this video. And how do you counter everything that I've said? It's actually really simple. Equip Calm Spirit. Calm Spirit actually just counters Infectious Fright, so you won't scream, you won't give away your location, you won't stop doing a generator. And the same thing on Doctor. You won't scream from blast. When you tear up, you don't scream, you don't hold your head, you don't do anything. You just tear up and continue doing what you're doing. So, but you still have those high pressure killers that at red ranks will use Infectious Fright to find survivors so that they can slug. Once again, you can still use Infectious Fright, get survivors off generators, pick up the survivor, and go about your way with all the regression in the world. Now, along with using Calm Spirit to counter everything I've said in the video, survivors who don't have a awareness that's quote-unquote up to par can actually use Calm Spirit to counter actually all of your stealth killers except for one. Now, a crouched pig in stealth will not set off crows. In the chance that Ghostface is crouched, he will not set off crows, but that's it. And if survivors are using Calm Spirit, therefore not setting off crows, if a crow gets set off, then it has to be a Tier 1 Myers. It has to be a Wraith. And to all you Bone Clapper Wraith mains out there, I'm sorry, you now have to pay attention to crows along with everything else. It's just the way things go. Or it's a standing Ghostface. And it also works against the Oblivious status effect, because if you lose line of sight with Oblivious and you don't know where the killer is, if the killer sets off crows, you now know where the killer is. So you can actually turn the killer's weapons against them. Nobody uses spies from the shadows, so killers don't use crows. You might as well give them to survivors and let us use them for a while. You're not using them, just hand them over. See, isn't learning how to counter stuff fun? Alright, and killers, one more advantage before I leave, because I know I just deflated you all right here. But let's say, if all of the things I'm saying about trimmers works, that means that survivors have yet another meta perk to add to their rotation of already meta perks. That means you're going to be seeing less borrowed times, less unbreakables, less iron wills, less everything that you hate going against, in order for survivors to have Calm Spirit. So not only are these proposed changes going to change the killer meta if they work, But if they work, they're also going to change the survivor meta. And you can stop running the same boring perks that you've been running for years because you now have something new that's meta to use. And I think as an entirety for the Dead by Daylight community, introducing new things and new metas is just good for the game. Alright guys, well that's going to be all for this video, but until I ever decide to make another video, this is going to be it. And until next time, I'm out.